Ball up!
I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Welcome to episode 6 of Playing from the Tips, Golf Australia magazine's preview and tipping show covering all the golf from around the world in the week ahead. I'm your host, Jimmy Emanuel, guiding you through the action from the PGA, DP World, LPGA, Asian and WPGA tours this week with a little help from a couple of Golf Australia's so-called experts. Speaking of, let's meet those pundits this week. First, back after a week off where he faced his biggest fear apart from chipping the golf ball, that being flight, Rod Murray, welcome.
Not sure which I'm more afraid of, but yes, thank you, Jimmy.
I think as a passionate rollback conversationalist, your main takeaway last week might have been just that.
What do you mean? Oh, the rollback. Yeah, clearly, yeah. It's been the ongoing issue in golf for years, and it's going to be the ongoing issue in golf for years to come. So, yes.
Yes.
The rollback.
Next up is a man who is providing exactly what you might have expected from his entry into the tipping and preview world. Slightly offbeat and peculiarly interesting. That's both his tips and personality. Adrian Logue, what's getting your interest in world golf?
The rollback stuff's pretty interesting. I'm glad to see Rod survived the miracle of flight as well. But yeah, disappointing performance from me in the tips last week, I must say. But I don't blame myself. I blame the players.
You blame the players.
The players. Okay. I thought you were going to blame the structure of the show.
But the listeners should know, though, that, just take that with, I've got track record.
Of poor performance.
Yeah.
Before we jump into this week, a quick look back at those tips last week.
Hang on. What was your highlight of the week? What were you interested in? You don't get out of it. Just because I forgot that you were going to ask the question doesn't mean you get to not answer it too.
I'll get to my highlight in a moment. As the host of the show, which I know you're normally accustomed to being, I get to decide. Let's look at the tips from last week. There was no wins, but there were 7 top 10s with a best result at the SDC Championship for Adrianus. Tipped by yours truly, that takes us to 47 top 10s and 6 wins for the year today. Not tipped by any of us, but a co-highlight for me was Gabby Ruffles winning on the Epsom Tour after forgetting to file her Q Series entry at the end of last year, which is quite an amazing story. And Dave Micheluzzi, who won his 3rd event for the Aussie Summer. So listen to this for a little.
I tipped Jake McLeod didn't come top 10.
He did come top 10.
Oh,
he was tied 8th. He was one of the top 10s.
Oh, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
You mentioned that I got
individually that
I
you
did
picked
not.
one, but that there were 7 amongst the group.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So Dave Micheluzzi this summer on the Australian Tour won 3 times, 6 other top 10s and 4 other finishes inside the top 25. So basically, when he plays, tip him.
It's a player that's going places. I tell you what, there's 2 things you cannot play golf without. One is the ball and the other is confidence. And he's got confidence at the moment. And you can see, you watch him play. I watched the closing stages of that tournament. I was like, well, he's going to win this.
Were you in the metaverse?
I wasn't in the metaverse. I don't understand the metaverse. I'm with Sandra McKenzie on that. I don't understand the metaverse, but I know that you guys are immersed in it. So
he very impressive and a really nice guy too, Dave Micheluzzi.
Look, lovely bloke. Had a slump, which was probably came at the right time, just pre-COVID. He was really struggling. I saw him at the New South Wales Open at Twin Creeks, it might have been, and he was struggling to break 80.
Yeah.
Had a terrific attitude about it, which you kind of thought at the time, oh, is that a healthy thing? Well, yeah, it is, clearly. It's because he's come out the other side of it and playing some really good guys. He's a real low number shooter too.
And celebrates his wins with things like KFC or Nando's or something like that.
There's something very real about him, isn't there? He's from a part of Melbourne that's pretty rough and tumble, and he hasn't lost that. He doesn't deny that. He doesn't pretend it's not the case. He embraces it, and that's who he is, and that's kind of how he plays his golf too.
And spends all of his winnings on his car that I think would go a lot faster than the street signs post.
He's got very good pedigree as well. Was he world number 1 amateur?
He was very briefly, yeah.
He pursued that endlessly with his amateur career, didn't he? Because it was very close, and he got there and turned pro. And it's good to see him succeeding there.
And can I just give another tick to the TPS? We've watched that story unfold this summer on TV because of the deal they've done with KO and the TPS thing. It's been fabulous to be able to watch that That's a narrative that's built if you're a golf fan.
Correct. Yeah.
You turned on Sunday and you were sort of, oh, where's Micheluzzi?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you knew he was the man to watch. Laurie Flynn bobbed up with another Laurie. Oh, this guy must have it. He did this at Bonnie Doon.
That's enough, Laurie. I've had more than enough Laurie Flynn, thank you.
Too much Laurie Flynn is barely enough. But the point I'm making is that easily goes under the radio. But that weekly feed of golf that you get to see on a Sunday afternoon, that's what makes characters and players and gives people profiles. So.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So let's get on to this week's action. And first, Logue, you are going to take us through the final ever World Golf Championship at the Dell Technologies Match Play.
Correct, yes. The WGC Dell Technologies Match Play Championship. It's
one word or two for match play in that?
2 words.
Absolutely, as it should be.
Yeah. That's in the rules of golf. It's match play and stroke play.
Exactly.
This will be the 24th and final time that the WGC Match Play Championship will be run. It's also, as you said, the last ever WGC. This concept, this grand experiment of the WGCs will be scrapped.
Taken out the back and shot years ago.
Oh, basically the top 64 in the world are playing. There's a couple of otherwise exempt players who aren't playing, or eligible players that aren't playing, Justin Thomas and Justin Rose. So for some reason, they're given it a miss. But other than that, it's a very strong field. Still dependent on the world rankings that are increasingly becoming less relevant, I guess.
Archaic, would you say?
The archaic world ranking system, yes. It's hosted at Austin Country Club. Very interesting course. As much as anything, I'll miss not having this on the schedule anymore.
This is the most interesting golf course they play in America all year, I reckon.
Well, I think that's a bit far, but it's one of the more...
It's from 0 to 110.
Interesting, I said. Not the best golf course. And the format probably lends itself to seeing some golf there that is really interesting as well. We will miss the golf course, that's what I'm saying.
It's a Pete Dye design. It suits some... If you look at the winners over the years there, it's been 7 or 8 years, I think, that it's been there. It suits some long hitters and it suits some short game guys as well. So there's been a good mix. This year, interestingly, we'll get to see maybe a little bit more of the vistas and everything. It does have that great back nine alongside Lake Austin with the funny looking bridge and stuff, which is very atmospheric, really pretty cool setting. But this year in particular, over 1,000 trees have been affected by an ice storm in February.
Wish we had ice storms here. They just sound so dramatic. I remember the ice storm that took out the Eisenhower
tree. Yeah. They obviously don't... Ice storms obviously dislike trees more than Mike Clayton.
I was going to say, we'll just call Ice Storm Clayton came through.
Indeed.
Fixed Austin Country Club.
That's right. But some of those holes on that back nine, especially sort of in the middle of the back nine where at the pivotal point of a lot of matches, they're very exciting holes. There's that big par 5 and a lot of interesting stuff by the water and do or die shots. So great venue for this, and it's a shame we're going to be losing it. And no prospects of any match play format tournament at all in the PGA Tour for the foreseeable future. Nothing announced, no plans, nothing.
No place in the game.
Now with the players having more power, you have even less of a chance of there being a match play.
They hate match play.
They
hate it partly because of this format. It's pretty grueling if you make it through to the end.
They hated the other format too, where you might have to go home Wednesday.
Yeah.
Which is why they came up with this format.
It's just no pleasing them. 64 players. There's 16 4-man groups for the first 3 days in a round robin. So they've got to play quite a lot of golf in those first 3 days. They get through that. Then 36 holes Saturday, 36 holes Sunday if you make it through to the end. Scott Scheffler is defending champion. I guess you'd be brave to bet against him, but nobody has defended a match play title since Tiger Woods in 2003, 2004. Jason Day came close, won 2 out of 3 years. But Scheffler also has to contend with Tom Kim in group play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's a research something to be aware of. Yeah, it is. I've dug deep for that. The field also includes, as we said, it's all top 64 players. I think some other notables there are Rory, Cantlay, Homer, some Australians, Jason Day, Adam Scott, Cam Davis, Lucas Herbert, Minwoo Lee, and open parentheses, Ryan Fox, close parentheses.
Big week for Minwoo Lee, who is 47th in the world.
Made it in there, yeah.
He makes it in there and he gets through the pool play and basically confirms he's going to Augusta.
Going to Augusta again.
He should get there, but the vagaries of that world ranking system, Nosferatu hasn't posted his update, so I can't actually tell you what's happening. So.
You know the players follow him?
Yeah, absolutely.
The players ask him questions. What do I need to do this week to get
top
50?
McIlroy in the field, but no chance. He's got no chance.
No chance.
I mean, he'll make it through the group play probably, but, of course, match play, I just don't think this works for him, especially having to play so many matches and win so many matches to get through to the end. I think he actually did win one at Harding Park, didn't he? Or did he lost the final at Harding Park?
Yeah.
Didn't he lose the final?
I might have lost the final. He had baseball tickets or something. Yeah,
that's right.
Anyway, he's no chance. He just can't. He turns up each day. Stroke play, he can get away with this where he has a bad round out of 4 and he's so good in the other 3 rounds that it's okay. In match play, he's going to turn up some days, especially with so many rounds of golf to play, and he's just not going to have it.
Rory in match play needs to have somebody to play against. So his best match at the WGC was against Lee Westwood when the two of them were feuding.
Yes.
2012-13. It was a semi-final. It was the match of the week, as is often the case with this thing. Your semi-final will be, or a quarter-final will be the best match of the week. So if Rory doesn't have anything to play for in that head-to-head, what's he going to do? Whereas, when he played Reed at Ryder Cup, I know he lost that match, but that first 9 holes or the first 8 holes there was just off the charts. So when he's got someone or something to play against, you fire up, he can do it. But you can't get that, particularly in this format. The old format would have suited him better. What Tiger used to do was invent some kind of a slight by his opponent, and then he just crush them. And Rory could probably do it too. But this format here, where you've got to play 3 and they're trying to get the people through, it doesn't suit Rory. You're right.
This format doesn't suit me because the opponent actually knows that they're in a match. I like the matches where you're having a match and the guy you're playing against doesn't actually know that you're trying to beat him. Anyway, Jason Day.
Do they have to be even in the same field or the same course? Or you'll play matches against people on the other side of the world that have got no idea what's going on.
Metaverse.
Jason Day's a former winner at this venue. I think he's probably the pick of the Australians.
You win here or no? You won in the desert, didn't you?
No, he won in the desert.
He won both. He won
did he?
in the desert and then 2 years later he won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well done, Jason.
Min Woo has a tough round robin, includes Fitzpatrick and Thigala. So we'll see.
Fitzpatrick missed a cut last week. He's on his way.
Actually,
okay.
Fitzpatrick has missed the last couple of cuts. He's not been playing well lately.
No.
All right. He took out Poulter in the match play on full swing. So
He did. That's true.
That's a big scalp there. My pick is John Rahm.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
Out on a limb.
Rod, some thoughts from you?
I'm going to go with Tyrrell Hatton because he's a good player. He's playing well lately. And sneaky, won't have a lot of pressure on him. This is exactly the sort of format where he could just sneak through and grab one of these. And he's too good a player not to go through his whole career without winning. Possibly not a major, but an event of this elevated status.
Yep.
He's that player.
Yep.
He'll win a couple of these, if not a major.
Before I get to my tip, I went looking at those world rankings, including Minwoo Lee, and update on my Mito Pereira, still a silhouette on the Live website. On the official World Golf Ranking website, he's listed as Guillermo Mito Pereira. So there's a mystery there that I'm going to unravel.
That's interesting.
I'm guessing that's probably his full name.
So am I.
Which he doesn't use.
But
is Tiger listed as Eldrick?
No.
Eldrick Tont?
No.
On the world ranking
That'd
side?
be ridiculous. All right, so I'm going to go with Jason Day. Always been a standout match player. Just keeps showing his impressive return to form. And he wouldn't have been preparing as hard for Augusta because he didn't know he was getting there as some of these other guys who were kind of tapering.
Yep.
So he'll be right up and ready to go. And, experience here and all that sort of stuff. So on to the next. And Rod, we're going to need the details of everything happening at the Worrells Women's New South Wales Open.
Well, funny you should ask, Jimmy, because I had a look at this morning. This is an interesting event, mainly because, it's not co-sanctioned with the LET, so the field is small. I think it's 78 or 80 players.
I think the aim will be to be next year.
I would hope so too, because that swing of LET events that used to come through here, it was fantastic.
With the regional stuff that happens from next year, I would suggest that their LET status will be
This is kind of a part of that as well. So there's no huge star name players, but that doesn't mean it's an event without any kind of value or worth. For the players, it's an opportunity to play, and if you're a woman professional in Australia, that's a big deal in itself. The chance to play a proper golf tournament. There's not as many of those. There's more than there used to, but not as many as they'd probably like. More than that, I think this is part of that regional New South Wales thing. This is being played at the Tuncurry Golf Club, and question without notice. You've played the Tuncurry Golf Club in the mid-amateur load. I've not actually been there. Tell us a bit about the course.
I shot 90-something.
We don't care about that. We care about the golf course.
It was very tough. So tough that week. It's a great course.
What was the winning score? How tough was it?
I don't know. It was someone.
Did he know he was in a match?
Something in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's a
People get
really
big raps on it, don't they?
It's an interesting golf course. I played it actually when it first opened and it hadn't even been bunkered yet. Oh. And it was a lot of fun, actually. I remember back then. If you've played Newcastle Golf Club, it's actually very similar terrain to that, but all of the slopes are sort of about 20% the size of the gradients and the size of the landforms and stuff. It's all just a more tamped down into the dunes.
Sits in its landscape nicely.
Yeah, it sits beautifully. It's very natural looking golf course and beautiful sand base, wonderful ferny scrub all around it. And it's really impressive little place, I think.
I've never
Craig
heard
Parry's
anybody-
doing some work on it as well.
Yeah. Never heard anybody say a bad word about it. Lots of people talk it up. People I trust their opinion on golf. Say, this thing is a hidden gem. You should go and play it, which I've never got around to.
All of that regional stuff's going to bring that in because next year this event goes to Yamba, where I learnt to play a lot of my golf at Yamba Golf Club as a kid on holidays, and another one that's just really good fun to play
Good
and
regional.
perfect for this event.
Yeah, absolutely. And great for the locals. And who knows, there's a kid at Tuncurry somewhere who's going to go out there and watch this golf this week and go, that's what I want to do. I want to be Kelsey Bennett or Momoko Kabori, or, I want to have a bag with my name on it. And there's a life goal then that they'll go on with that. So these things are important. And I love that regional thing that New South Wales is doing. That's hugely important because this is not one of their bigger events, but this will bring a lot of money into the town of Tuncurry.
Absolutely, well, yeah.
Plenty of money into Foster Tuncurry because you've got 80 players, so you've probably got 60 caddies, bunch of family who've come to see it and watch it. So people are going to go to dinner, they're going to go to pubs.
Oh, I recommend the kebab shop that
yeah?
hit a couple of times in the mid-amateur. It's very
Where's BJ?
kebabs.
What's the pie situation in
Well, I'm not sure.
Tuncurry? We'll have to. That's going to have to start being part of the research anytime there's a.
No, well,
tournament.
there's a food. There's a food recommendation. I'm happy with just food.
Just food.
Yeah, just someone
need to
has
be
to
the
come
big
up
man
with
on
food.
pies?
So
All right.
kebab in Tuncurry.
Yeah.
Players to watch, the standouts for me, Kelsey Bennett and Momoko Kabori, partly because they're the two names I know the best out of all of those in the field, but clearly should be a step. Both of those players should be going into this week thinking, if I can't win this, you know what I mean? They're clearly the two best players in the field. A lot of amateurs in the field, which is good experience for them. And the ones that I just wanted to mention again, to go back to the TPS, Ellis Gaysbrook, who I think we spoke about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, she won TPS Hunter Valley a year and a bit ago.
That's right. So she's in the field. And also Jazzy Roberts, who I think played well at Bonnie-Doon a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and she played well at the Women's Amateur Asia Pacific.
Yeah, she earned her way into one of these tournaments through a performance in one of the TPS events, Jackie, if I'm not mistaken. So, look, it's another tick for them. Straight away, there's two other names that you know. You'll look at those results next week and go, oh, interesting. They played well or they played poor, whatever it might be. But you're more aware of these players than you would have been at this time last year. And that's a great thing. And it's a good thing for them to get used to. People know who they are. They come and start asking, how did you go at the Women's New South Wales Open? So, look, this won't make headlines around the world, this tournament.
No.
Doesn't mean it's not contributing something valuable to a whole bunch of people.
Absolutely.
You
You're in
never stop
Tuncurry.
talking about that one at Dubbo for
It was fantastic.
It's like 20 years ago now, I think.
The Women's New South Wales, what was it? Was it 2020, I think?
It was.
It was fantastic. I was out there working for Golf New South Wales and it was fantastic. And the people came in busloads from towns around the place. It was like a great big party. It was fabulous. And the players loved it. The European players just lapped it up. They thought it was just magnificent.
Yeah. All right. Have you got a tip for us then, given you've done
I'm
such
going
big
with
work?
Kelsey Bennett because, let's be honest, it's about time. Kelsey needs to start winning something and this is a good place for her to start.
Well, Kelsey needs to.
Excellent
I'll
choice.
tell her about it. Logue, your thoughts?
She knows that. She doesn't need you to tell her.
Momoko Kabori,
Yep.
touch of class. Not really going out on too much of a limb this week. I'm going with some solid favourite picks this week after Cameron Tringali and everyone disappointed me last week. So
Steph Bunky for me. I caddied for her recently, and now that dead weight is lifted off her, she should be able to actually play a bit better and win a tournament. Struggles with a high short game shot, doesn't need it here. So
Well, she doesn't have the high short game shot.
she does, but just not a favourite
not
shot.
hers, yeah.
So, doesn't need it here. Absolute flusher, like hits it stupid good and longer than, I'd say probably the longest in this field.
Okay.
So,
She's another one who really
That'll help.
needs to do something. She's been in that zone where she should have been doing something. She needs to go that next step. And again, that's a good tip. She's another one who could
it's a
do well
good fit for Tuncurry as well.
Yeah.
Small targets in the greens, and for a sort of a linksy sort of course, the greens are quite small, but a long hitter will get there.
Yeah.
And they're very underbunkered as well,
Yeah,
interestingly.
correct. Yeah.
So you can kind of
so you don't need to take it over these shots. I've done my research. Don't worry.
Three-way playoff.
Let's
Bunky, Bennett, Kabori.
Let's stick with women's golf and the LPGA Drive-On Championship. Series of tournaments that came about during COVID. This week's event has remained on the schedule after it was inaugurated last year, and Leone Maguire won for her first LPGA Tour win. This week it is taking place at the best named golf course for the week, Superstition Mountain Golf and Country Club. Two Jack Nicklaus designed courses here. One each designed with one of the sons. They're at the Prospector course, which he did with son Gary in Arizona. hosted the LPGA Phoenix International for a number of years back around 2004 till 2008. And it's actually the home club of a number of LPGA Tour players, including Jennifer Kupcho. Quite typical of desert golf and Nicholas's work. Highly manicured fairways surrounded by more natural sort of landscape for the area with big, quick greens, expansive bunkers, main defence, that sort of stuff. But we've got a very strong field here with the LPGA having had a very light schedule so far throughout the year. Standouts are Maguire as the defending champion, Danielle Kang, who likes this sort of golf and was second last week in Singapore at the Aramco Team Series. Ataya Titikul is basically a player to watch every time she tees it up this year, as she still continues to find a way on the LPGA Tour, already as one of the best players.
Yeah.
The Lydia Ko sort of balance she has going, which is quite unbelievable. Brooke Henderson was a winner in the first event of the season, well suited here, and Kupcho's a member, so you assume.
These LPGA events, this is what they do well, the LPGA. They turn out great fields at all of their events.
Yeah.
You never get to one of their events and go, not a lot of name players here. Always strong field of players.
Absolutely. A few Aussies here as well with decent chances. So you got Hannah Green, who's going to be the only player in the field to have gone from the Murray River to Arizona this week after caddying for fiancé Jared Felton last week. Then Steph Kiriakou, Grace Kim, Sarah Kemp and Karis Davidson all in the field. Sue O just missing out based off her category, which is going to be a bit of the story of Sue's year. Whereas Karis just gets in because she was slightly higher at Q Series.
So that's the little kick in the bum Sue needs to produce the sort of golf that she actually can.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it yet since she turned professional, and it'd be nice if we did.
Yeah. So based off all of that, time for some tips, and I'll lead off the batting with Lexi Thompson. Has a good record in Arizona across the various events she's played there. I think she needs a win early in the year because she's sort of had a bit of a stop, getting close and then falling over or just getting beaten. Yeah, it's it feels like a bit of an important period for her to kick on and do what she was probably capable of. So
it sounds ridiculous to say, but don't you feel like she's a tortured soul?
Well, you watch
it. She feels like there's like a tortured soul from there. There's just so much seems to go on in her life that she just, I don't know.
Watch her chip and you'd be tortured. It's awful stuff.
How has she not broken that left wrist yet?
Oh.
That action, the digging with, goodness me.
Rod, speaking of bad chippers, your winner?
I'm going to go with Inji Chun because it's been a while. She's a good player and her caddy Dean is a good bloke.
Okay.
And their criteria are as relevant as any other.
Okay. Lloyd, do you have any superstitions that might help your week?
Very nice. I see what you did there. It's better. Rod's rationale for Inji Chun's probably better than my rationale for Jenny Shin, who's shown no real form this year. Only has one win on tour in the past 10 years, but I think it's her time.
She's a lock.
It's due.
Started great.
She is due, and I think this little nudge of support I'm giving her from across the globe will help her in her race to the CME Globe.
Can we just go back to the fact that the last tournament you said I'm going to tip some favourites this week?
I know. Look, I've got to mix it up. So Jenny Shin.
Very good. All right.
If she Googles herself
quality
this week, she might find this.
Yeah.
Might be one of the few mentions she gets this week, and so you might just get the job done there, Lloyd.
All right, let's go back to the PGA Tour and the Corrales Punta Cana Championship. Rod, tell us all we need to know.
These opposite field events, I've got mixed feelings about them because they're fabulous tournaments within a tournament. The players are unbelievably good players. They're being quite good enough to get into the event that is the opposite field that week. So there's no shortage of talent, whatever, but it does kind of split the attention as well. I always wondered about, this secondary event. It's sort of, whether they mean to or not, that's kind of what it does. Anyway, so it's in the Dominican Republic, which, as I found out when I Googled this one, is in the Caribbean. I didn't know that before. My geography is a point.
Geography's no good.
My other half keeps an atlas in our lounge room so that she can pull it out and show me when I say stupid stuff like, where's that? She'll pull out the book and say, it's here. We've got a globe in our house so that she can point to places on the globe. I'm hopeless at it. I couldn't tell you which one was north or south. Anyway, so it's in the Caribbean, which is just south of Florida. I also discovered this morning because when I looked at it, I saw the map.
At least someone's learning something from this show. It's
that's exactly
geography
right.
when you're previewing events.
It's the Corrales Punta Cana Resort Course is a Tom Fazio design, opened in 2010. This might be kind of the archetypal, if you asked a child to draw a dog course, as Logan likes to say.
Yep.
Exactly what you'd expect.
Isn't it kind of a seaside thing?
It is. It's an oceanside thing, but it's exactly what you'd expect from an oceanside golf course where the inland holes are.
Okay.
The course is nothing spectacular. There's some spectacular views and a couple of spectacular holes, but it's kind of what you'd expect. Wind can be a factor, obviously. Winning scores ranging from 12 under in 21 to 24 under 2016, so wind obviously has a lot to do with that. Was a web.com event, got promoted to the main tour. I don't know. This won't attract a whole lot of attention this week, which is understandable with the match play going on, and that's probably kind of as it should be. This is a classic playing opportunity for the PGA Tour players, which is the whole point of the PGA Tour's existence. So 3 of the world's top 10 in the field, Thomas Dietrich at 82, Wyndham Clark at 90th, and Joel Damon 100th. I wouldn't have picked Wyndham Clark to be ahead of Joel Damon in the world rankings, would you?
Not necessarily.
Never saw him on full swing.
No, indeed. But, somebody has to be the 70th best player in the world. And it's,
Indeed.
Am I correct in saying this is a tournament where you get a white doctor's lab coat type thing when you win and a straw hat?
Oh, I did not know that.
I'm pretty
Possibly.
confident when Joel Damon won and the straw hat blew over the back of the thing and Gino Bonelli chased after it and dove down into what looked like a cliff to retrieve it.
So now I'm
Talk amongst
interested in the
yourselves while
final
I
round
research.
because I want to see the trophy presentation.
Talk amongst
this
yourselves
has
while I work that out.
significantly elevated the tournament.
Absolutely.
In my
Like,
understanding. Like a quirky trophy.
You've got to have
goes
something,
a long
don't
way.
you? A jacket or a trophy or something.
Nothing beats the dagger that you get in, where is it? In somewhere in
Morocco.
Morocco, yes.
Trophy Hassan Dur.
The trophy.
Yeah, well done. Defending champions Chad Ramey, who opened with 64 at Sawgrass, we might remember a couple of weeks ago, before arriving at the 17th hole in round 2 and promptly dumping 2 into the drink and making a 7. But he made the cut again last week at Valspar, so I'm going to say he might go all right. Lots of Australians in the field. Aaron Baddeley, Greg Chalmers, Harrison Endicott, Jeff Ogilvy and Cameron Percy. Cameron Percy, actually, not out of the question. It's the 3rd visit he's had here. He's had 2 top 10s out of those. He's tied 16th at Valspar. Real quiet achiever, Cameron. In fact, I think he made headlines last week, did he not, for falling over in a bunker?
Doubly so, yes.
I think that, yeah.
Yep.
So, well done, Cam. Try to stop doing that this week. Won't necessarily be out of it. The young gun, the left-hander, Akshay Bhatia. Have I pronounced that wrong again?
I thought you were going to say Greg Chalmers.
Closer. Bhatia.
Bhatia.
I think so.
Bhatia. He's obviously playing on a special temporary membership. Got talent. This is exactly the sort of tournament you'd expect a young player like him to potentially bob up in.
You've got a thing for left-handers, don't you?
That's overstating it. A thing for left-handers. Who are the other left-handers that I've got a thing for?
Your mate from the TPS events that you keep talking about.
Laurie Flynn.
I've forgotten his
Who
name
I've
already.
mentioned twice because he shot outrageously low scores.
Would he be Australia's premier left-hander now? Still Greg Chalmers. Still Greg Chalmers.
Greg Chalmers,
Take
yeah.
it easy.
Still Greg Chalmers.
Greg Chalmers
Okay.
dominates in a number of sports.
I'd like to see them head-to-head.
Enough. Dietrich's the highest ranked player in the field, so he should. Yeah, there you go. Jimmy's just dug up a photo of the.
Yeah. Like a,
we know
it's
the
like a
purpose of
lab coat situation,
Is there
then with a straw hat that my dad would have bought if he went there to play in the 90s.
Is it sponsored by the Ponds Institute or something? Is that?
We need to know the backstory to that, Jimmy. That's your homework for this.
I don't have a lot on, so that's
What's going on there? Yeah, that's right. You're not a lot for you to do. And Nicholas
Stethoscope
Højgaard's
would
in
really
the field.
complete that look.
Whenever there's a Højgaard in the field, they're a chance to win. And Nicholas is this should suit him. Super wide fairways here, apparently, because of the wind.
Yes,
And that,
there is, yeah.
That will suit him down to the ground. You can hit it sort of anyway. Last thing for me on players and whatnot. One of the great things about these opposite field events is some of the names from the past that you get to
Yes.
know. Bo Van Pelt,
Oh, yeah.
D.A. Points,
Oh,
Nice.
J.J. Henry, and our old friend Omar Uresti.
Yeah.
Good on you, Omar.
JJ Henry building a golf course in Texas.
I think I saw something about that.
Yeah, that looks quite interesting from the discussion about it.
On you, JJ.
On
good
you,
luck this week.
JJ. Good on you. Do you have a tip for us, Rod? Is it Omar Uresti?
It's down the bottom of the page here. Let me go. Hang on a sec. Ryan Gerard or Gerard?
Gerard.
I'm going to go with Gerard because you said so.
Yep.
Missed out. He needed to finish two-way tie for 54th or better last week to get special temporary membership. He missed out on that. He had 77 on Sunday. So in my book, there's 2 ways this thing can go. He's either fatigued, that's why he shot 77, in which case he's no hope this week, or what I think, he'll be absolutely energised by his own poor play Sunday and he'll go with the latter and win this thing. Really talented player. I'd never heard of him until
yeah,
a
really
couple of weeks
talented. Yeah, a
ago
lot
when
of
he
talent.
played his second event and finished 4th. Second ever time on the PGA Tour.
But, yeah, it shows how many good players there is.
It does show how many good players there are, but that's show. He made the cut on the number at the Valspar, knowing what was at stake with the special temporary membership. There's a lot to like about a player that does that under that sort of stress. You don't feel that sort of stress again until you get to the back nine Sunday at the big events with a chance to win. So I like him. I don't think it's fatigue. I think that he'll be ropeable at his own play on Sunday and that he'll turn it around this week.
Very good. Who's slipping on the doctor's coat on Sunday?
I just want to comment that Punta Cana sounds like a dirty word.
It does. It sounds like two dirty words.
And Rod and I both said it very well without getting into any trouble, and now you've stopped all that momentum. So thank you.
And I quite like Joel Damon for this. Why not? Joel Damon.
Previous winner and looks good in the hat.
Previous winner. Yep. The hat sort of.
Very few look good in the hat.
How many of those white coats have they got on standby? Because, I mean, if the barn rat wins it, that's very different to, say, Akshay Bhatia.
Do they start measuring you up? Like, if you're
they must have a whole. They've got to have a rack of them.
I don't think that they do.
To choose
I
from.
think that they're just going with one size fits most.
Okay, good luck with that.
I'm liking the white coat.
Yeah,
more
it's good.
and more, the more we talk about it.
Speaking of the white coat and the hat, I did have a think through as to who I would like to see most in it. And one G. Ogilvy, I would take great delight in seeing in that because it would make him exceptionally uncomfortable and it would give me a lot of ammo for a long time. So I'd like him to win, but my tip is instead Thomas Dietrich, something of a perennial non-winner, Logue's favourite category in professional golf. He's got a game, though, that screams the opposite. Ball striker, so if it gets a bit windy, I watched him in that, I think 2018 World Cup that he and Thomas Peters won at Metropolitan and walked away going, this guy is just a genuine starter.
He didn't look ordinary next to Peters, did he?
No.
You would have thought he would have looked pedestrian, but he did not.
And then he has struggled at times to get over the line. So, sort of thing. He might win and then make himself into a role.
Well, there's so much
PGA
more to it,
Tour
isn't there? I mean, there's not a dud golf swing in professional golf.
No.
Certainly not at the PGA Tour. They can all play and swing it. So it comes down to other things. And it may just be that he might be one of those who needs to get one under his belt.
And then does a bit.
And then the gates will open.
Now with Robert Rock kind of semi-retired, probably takes the mantle as the best head of hair on men's golf.
Okay.
Magnificent hair on Thomas Dietrich.
Oh.
Yeah. Doesn't mind a no-hat practice round, but sponsors commitments during the tournament otherwise, obviously.
Sure. Understood.
So on to the Johnson Workwear Open on the DP World Tour / Sunshine Tour.
Well, you say DP World Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, really in name only. It's so much is it's co-sanctioned between the DP World Tour and the Sunshine Tour, but so much is it a Sunshine Tour event that when you go to the DP World Tour website and look it up on the schedule, it has a link saying, for details, click here, which takes you to the Sunshine Tour website.
That's just a very effective working co-sanctioning agreement.
It's very much tells you where it is. So predominantly South African field.
It's a unique spelling of Johnson as well.
It is.
It is JONSSON.
Yeah.
Workwear. I assume that's tradies
workwear.
kind of gear, high-vis stuff and that sort of thing.
Maybe they'll give out a high-vis jacket.
Oh, and a hard hat. That'd be interesting. Being played at the club at Stain City, S-T-E-Y.
Stain City.
Stain City. It's a Jack Nicklaus design. They all seem to be Jack Nicklaus designs in that area, it seems to me. Lots of earth moved to create the course. A 25-centimetre sand cap added across the whole thing. I know this is about previews and tipping, but is that a good look for golf? Ripping up millions of tons of soil and then bringing in 25 centimetres of sand to cap the whole site. I know it's not the only place it's been done, but yeah, you got to wonder about that sort of stuff.
I wonder with that ultimately whether it's more economic to do it because of all of the ways that if they didn't do that, all of the ways they would try and get water off the course.
It's an interesting.
If it just sand cap it up front, then maybe longer term. It's
from the Sunshine Tour website, but I'm assuming they got this from the course's website. This is about the course. The Championship Golf Course, if you can figure out if this has said anything at the end, I'll be pretty impressed. The Championship Golf Course has become a magnet for keen golfers from all areas of the country, impressing with its challenging design and beautiful views. Is there any meaning in any of that?
It sounds like a golf course.
The course presents 75 bunkers and several water features lining the generously wide, immaculate fairways. Winter hardy grasses on the greens, tees, fairways and roughs guarantee a green surface all year round. A looped course with changes in elevation, holes 9 and 18 converge at the clubhouse.
Yeah. Oh, uniquely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love ChatGPT wrote that, I think.
It sounds like, again, your archetypal, if you asked a child to draw a dog, what might it look like? Lots of South Africans in the field. The point about that being, don't expect anything amazing.
No.
Golf course, I don't think, which is not to say it'll be a bad golf course, but I don't think there's anything about it that makes you go, oh, wow, this is interesting. Must watch this hole.
Lots of South Africans in the field.
Predominantly South Africans.
Yeah. Is this the South African Open?
No.
No.
Okay. All right.
The South African Open tends to be called the South African Open.
Well, you don't know
as opposed
these
to the
years.
Johnson Workwear Open.
Well, you don't know when they get co-sanctioned. It takes away their identity.
Yeah, they generally leave the country
They still
title.
leave the country title in a
I know.
So it'll be the
Well,
Johnson
I
Workwear
just
South
wanted to
African
check.
Open.
Okay.
I just
Is
wanted
it the
to-
Investec South African Open?
It was for a long time.
Like the Emirates Australian Open, that sort of thing. But your point about co-sanctioning national opens is taken on board. Well done, Logue. Lots of South Africans, as you'd expect, in the field. A couple of reasonably high profile, which means players I've heard of.
Yes.
That's code 4. Most recognisable names, Ockie Stridham.
He's your man, isn't he?
He's not. He's BJ's man.
Yeah, he is BJ's.
BJ went with him. I'd never tipped him. He's won a couple of times. Daniel Van Tonda, who's kind of my man.
Logue's man.
Sean Norris and Wilco Nienaber? Wilco. They're the ones that I picked. Look, it will labour in virtual obscurity this week, this tournament, which is not to say that it's not without value, a bit like the Women's New South Wales Open, but I don't think that there'll be people tuning in huge numbers. Tip. I'm going with Wilco because I've heard of him. And again, this has got wide fairways, this golf course. He hits it miles, and that combination should see him either shooting 85, trying to shoot 65, or shooting 65, trying to shoot 65, which is what he's doing.
Okay. Logue, tip for Stein City? Stein City?
Whenever we're talking South African fields, I always look for the names with Van in them.
Yep.
Van
Good, I like
Tonda disappointed me last week.
What about Jaco Van Zyl?
That's
He's in the
exactly
field.
where I was
Is
going.
that where you're
Rod.
going?
I'm
Jaco?
going with Jaco Van Zyl.
Okay.
Your Henny Duplessis can also go, okay?
Yeah, the Duplessis are it's a fine double-barreled name, but the Vans are where
Vans
it's
are
at,
in.
I think.
I
yeah.
like the lowercase V in the van.
Yeah.
It's a flex,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it is.
To have a name and a first letter of a name, but it's lowercase, that's a powerful move.
I'm going to go with Scotsman Ewan Ferguson. That's Ewan with an E, unlike Ewan with an A, as in Porter.
AWEN, what sort of a name's that?
Very funny. Won a couple of times last year, third last week in South Africa, and has the best player website I've seen for a long time.
Oh.
Actually up to date.
Right.
Links in the show notes?
Sure. Yeah, why not? Shout out to Ewan. Yeah,
I
best
just
website.
can't go past this as well. The Johnson Workwear Open logo is appalling.
Okay.
Break it down.
Really terrible. Well, it's just a mix. They've just smushed their corporate logo together with some golfer that they've gotten off some clip art thing and then italicized the Open to make it look exciting. And it's terrible. It's a colour hodgepodge. There's nothing redeeming about it at all.
Send all complaints to Adrian Logue. And
I should be
finally,
ashamed.
the Asian Tour and the pick of the tournament names this week, I think. The World City Championship presented by Hong Kong Golf Club that will surprise you to learn is being played at Hong Kong Golf Club.
Golf Club.
Yeah. Historic golf club with parts of it all over Hong Kong, really. Fan Ling property is where we go this week, where two of the courses, the Eden and the New, are closed to members. Which one's actually hosting the tournament? Couldn't find it, despite my best efforts. So
know
we'll
it's one of
find
them.
out. We'll find out.
It's one of them.
I always used to host the Hong Kong Open, and I'm pretty sure it's the Eden course, and it finishes with a par 4 down the hill with the water in front of it to the right.
Do you reckon the players know which course it is yet?
I
Is
hope
this
they
the
don't.
game this week?
I hope they
turn
don't.
Up
I hope they-
turn up at the property.
I read a 3-page press release from the Hong Kong Golf Club chairman about how excited they were to be bringing the tournament back and 3 more international events. Couldn't find what the other events were and couldn't find which golf course they were playing. So
It would be the DP World Tour one because it's nearer the clubhouse.
it is correct. Yeah.
The other,
I know
the other one's
it's
a bit
not.
of a
It's certainly not the old course because the members are still playing the old course.
Right, are they really?
Yeah, so good
The
luck to
golf's
the members
not
at Hong Kong.
interrupted.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of having 3 golf courses, I suppose.
Okay.
This actually is part of the Open qualifying series. So there's 4 spots at Royal Liverpool Open this week,
Nice.
which might maybe understand why a couple of people are there. Ian Poulter included amongst them, who will probably need that assistance. Henrik Stenson won't need that help, given he's won it, but he's there as well. So they go from Arizona to Hong Kong, and then they go back to Florida for the next live event. Neither offered much last week, so interesting to see how they stack up. Also in the invites list is a man already mentioned in this podcast, Kiradech Afi-Barnrat, sort of imagination that could go well here. And he's kind of recommitting to the Asian Tour after a couple of rough years in America and living away from home in Thailand.
Happy Barnrat is a Barnrat
Yeah.
that can perform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great player, really is.
Yeah, great interview as well. Miguel Tabuena was impressive last week, winning in India, another ridiculously good trophy, like a huge thing that's the Delhi Golf Club clubhouse as a trophy.
All right.
You're not getting it on a plane. Like, huge.
You almost couldn't see him behind it in the
I don't
photo
think
that
you
you
could
saw. It was
lift
like he disappeared.
Like, they just did a photo shoot with it where I don't think you can lift it up. That's what you want.
A trophy that's a burden.
Oh, yeah,
like
exactly
for the rest of your life. It's like, what am I going to do with this thing?
Yeah, exactly.
we can't move house. I can't move that thing again.
Like, you could have like hamsters live in this thing. It's that big. Yeah. And then Wade Ormsby makes his first start after his recent win in Thailand because he didn't play last week because he was the first reserve in the live
On the
event.
bench.
So
is there a dugout at the live thing, like for the
We'll have
reserves
to
to sit
ask
in?
Wade.
That would be fantastic.
we'll find out what Wade does
That'd
with
be
himself
innovation.
during the week. That'd
Get
be
a
good.
dugout around the 18th green there with all the players who are
Good.
reserves sitting in there.
That's good. I like that. And he's also a past winner of the Hong Kong Open. So joining Ormsby in the Australian contingent here, and I'm going to need a breath before I run through this because there is a lot. So we've got Sam Brazel, also
Former winner at Hong Kong.
Yeah, also
One
a
of the
winner
great
here.
thinned six irons in the history of
Correct. Tom Power-Horan, Andrew Martin, Dean Lawson, Brett Coletta, Scott Hend, you guessed it, Hong Kong Open winner. Travis Smythe, Zach Murray, Todd Sinnott, Kevin Yuan, Andrew Dote, Terry Pilkadaris, Marcus Fraser, Jack Thompson, John Lyris, and Harrison Gilbert. So no Australasian Tour event. They're all there. So good on them.
Couldn't put one on this week. I didn't have enough players. They're all in Hong Kong.
They're all in Hong Kong. After all that, I'm sticking with Wade Ormsby. Knows how to win here, in good form. He is very, very keen to get back to live after being a one and done on the roster last year. This won't help that, but keeping sharp in between his international series events is a very important thing. So,
Especially playing somewhere you've played well before or won before does wonders for the confidence I reckon,
like
for golfers.
for those sort of players now, they don't get that chance very often because all the tours are shifting to new
that's right.
places and everything.
New venues every other week.
You're not having that advantage over the younger players who come through and just make birdies in doesn't matter what the golf course looks like. This place needs a bit of strategy too. So I'd lean on
very Wade Ormsby golf course actually when you think about it. Isn't it?
Yeah,
in fact, it's very un-Scott Hend-like golf course.
It is.
Really does speak to that achievement that he won it there.
Yeah.
It's not a bomber's course.
Not at all. No, it's actually an interesting golf course. Always a good tournament to watch.
Absolutely.
So
The off-course stuff I think is interesting that week as well, which an experienced player who has experience playing Hong Kong that week with who's going to be a driver to get out to the course, which is pretty chaotic, and where you're going to eat, all that sort of stuff, I think is important as well. And Wade Ormsby would be comfortable with all of that. Something
that I think Scott Hend struggled with a little bit in India last week, judging by his Twitter account with a few problems.
Oversharing. Yes,
with oversharing. That Scott has a tendency to do, but God love him for it. Rod, who do you like in Asia's World City? Which I didn't know they called Hong Kong until this week researching this tournament. Apparently it's the World City of Asia.
Is this the start of it? Maybe this is the first time it's been Asia's World City. That's the way they do this stuff. They don't make an announcement, we're going to start calling Hong Kong
They've
Asia's
just branded
World.
themselves.
They just start branding little events like that until finally it seeps in. You go, oh yeah, Hong Kong, isn't that Asia's World City?
When I went on a cricket tour there in about 2005, I don't think it was the World City, but that's a fair while ago.
Cricket in Hong Kong?
Mm-hmm. Hong Kong Cricket Club.
I've been to the Hong Kong Cricket Club.
Hong Kong Cricket Club is one of the greatest cricket grounds I think I've ever seen, just up in the mountains on Hong Kong Island.
Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
Overview of the whole
and Kowloon Cricket Club, where they play the rugby sevens at.
And as you know, I could not point to it on a map if you offered me a large sum
I'm sure
of
that
money.
you can't.
I'm going to stick with somebody I tipped a couple of weeks ago, Michael Hendry.
Nice.
Playing well down here all year. Good player, having a second win post-COVID. Will be itching to get that spot in the Open. Which means he's going to finish in the top four regardless. And if he's going to get all the way to the top four, he might as well just win the thing.
Sounds like a good strategy to me. Man who could point to it on the map because he's been there, I know that for a fact. Logue, your thoughts in Hong Kong?
Has to be said, this is a really good field.
It is, yes, genuinely.
Whatever we say about all this live stuff and everything, it really boosted the Asian tour. It's
no question about it. Which for Australian golf fans and young Australian golfers is a massive deal.
Let's put these tournaments on the map.
Hasn't it put Asia where it kind of should have always been in world golf? In some
absolutely.
ways?
Some credit to them. Very good strategizing from them. Cho Min Tan, CEO, worked his tail off to get this all together.
Yeah, it's worked out great.
He's not sitting on his laurels, I think, which is the important thing about that. It would have been easy to go, oh, look, all his live money's poured in. We'll just have these 10 events and that's it. But they're not doing that.
No.
Yeah.
These sort of events and whatnot, good on them.
There's a lot to like about this. Great field, really interesting golf course. And I'm picking Ryo Hisatsune,
Yes.
who I think is due to sort of announce himself on a world stage soon. For the next 12 months at least, he'll be a regular pick until he does something, and then I'll drop him. But
Drop him like a stone.
for the moment, he's still a chance.
This is a very low tournament, isn't it? Everything about it's just a little bit left field or left field adjacent. It's not completely out there, but everything about it's just got a little detail that makes you, well, that's quirky.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
A man probably trying to rival Scott Henn for the most stamps in his passport in the year on professional golf tours. Hitsatsune.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's playing.
He's the one with
everywhere.
the funky golf swing, isn't he?
He's one who played out here.
Yeah.
Big sunglasses.
Yeah.
Great sunglasses. tan.
Serious sunglass tan.
Yeah.
Really nice guy too.
Trademark.
And Mike Clayton watched this one, Jim.
Yeah.
So always.
There's not a lot of those, so.
All right, that'll just about do us
Kiss
for
of death,
episode
isn't it?
6. Well, it can be. Episode 6 of Playing from the Tips. Thank you for listening, and keep up to date with all those tournaments and more, including our weekly TV guide onto how to watch all those tournaments via golfaustralia.com.au. You can also go in the draw to win $5,000 worth of Titleist gear by voting for Australia's greatest 18 holes. And we will be back next week. In the meantime, pick up an issue of the April issue of Golf Australia magazine with Adam Scott on the cover, talking about his lots of master stuff, including 10-year look back from people like Kari Webb,
10 years.
BJ, including with his own photo with Adam at the house in his jacket.
Was
And
it
all
his
that.
first that he went to, BJ?
Correct. First one he
BJ's
showed
first
up.
Masters, lobs up there and Adam Scott wins it.
His first day at Golf Australia magazine, I believe, was Greg's 96 meltdown.
It was too.
And then his first trip to Augusta, Adam wins.
And all the Australians in between are wondering why they didn't send him between 96 and
I'm sure
2013.
I'm sure there's a lot of
The
players.
symmetry.
There'll
be some good stuff in there. Do you know, I often think this about the Masters. One of its great appeals is because it's at the same venue. Every year it's like a pair of comfortable slippers. They're the same stories. You've read them and you've heard them and you've listened to them over and over and over.
Yeah.
And you can't wait to hear them again.
Yeah,
it's not this, we don't know what the ending is. It's always, and then tell us how the Champions Dinner came about. And,
Yeah.
what did Jack say to Arnie on the 13th? You get them every year and you can't wait because you've always forgotten some. So I'm sure there's plenty of them. I did that piece with Kari about watching Adam.
Yeah, I
win,
did
and
some of the other players. It was very good.
It's great to hear other players, and particularly somebody like Kari, a 7-time major winner. It was just so genuinely. She'd organised her weekend around watching it.
Yeah.
Which was just, and like all of us, she remembered while she was watching 2011.
Yeah.
When we had 3 or 4.
That was a
four in with a chance
stunning.
with 4 holes to go.
Yeah,
And Schwartzel-
Ogilvy was in there as well.
Yeah, and I remember Kari saying, when she was watching Adam Scott, I was like, I'm not getting carried away with this.
Yeah.
We've seen this movie before. But
Yeah.
and then he got up and done it. And that great photo of Kari giving it
Yeah.
the 5-star jump with that.
And, great stories being created each year. We've got, the great, just tell me again about when everybody left after the presentation to leave Patrick Reed alone with his thing of the clubhouse, his replica clubhouse.
Well, in all honesty, we're not
Another
talking Masters
trophy
yet, but
that's
what is that? What is that dinner going to be?
What is this, a
this year?
clubhouse for little people?
that dinner
That
will
dinner
be.
is just, it'll be the first time a lot of those people think to themselves, maybe I should have skipped it this year. It's just going to be tense. I know, Woods said the right thing. We've got to make it all about Scotty and it's his dinner and all that, but that's just going to be
Very uninspiring menu from Scotty Scheffler as well, I have to say.
Ugh.
Did that come as a surprise?
No.
Anybody surprised by that?
No,
There
not
was
at all.
sliders on it, wasn't
What's
there?
a slider?
Like a mini burger.
But apparently it's
cooked all in
got
one.
chips on it. Because that's
Incredibly
what
unsurprising.
It's very no good. Also in that April issue before we go,
We're
is
going
a
off
big
early,
picture of Logue. So
Hey,
for the Logue fans,
Driver testing.
yep.
is that right?
For the Logue fans, get out there and get involved.
Did you capture the transition?
I've got a
That's
actually
where-
that's
transition.
my private collection.
That's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Transition.
All right, that's us playing from the tips for another week. We are done.